Hello and welcome to Fur, Fins, and Feathers. This is our 73rd episode, and today our guest is Mike Arruda of Fall River, Massachusetts, who is the president of the Pilgrim Basset Hound Club. Mike, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
We've known each other for about 30 years.
Yep.
And you've had a long history in Bassets. How did you get interested in the breed?
Well, actually, I started out looking at coon hounds and came across somebody that had a litter of Basset hounds, and I just fell in love with it. Can't turn down a Basset puppy. When you look at a Basset puppy, you fall in love with them. So it's not fair for people that are coming just to look.
Tell us about John.
Well, this is his call name is John. His registered name is Laurelwood's. Our kennel name, Laurelwood. Laurelwood's Winter is Coming. That particular litter, we usually go with a theme for each litter.
Now, is your partner, Linda
Yes,
Fowler.
Linda Fowler is my partner. We've been together probably 40 years, so we've been hanging out together, doing the same thing for a long time. It's what keeps us together, these dogs. His name is Laurelwood's Winter is Coming. So if you're a fan of the Game of Thrones, you'd know right away what that's all about. So he's like Jon Snow. He's a 2-year-old. He's a red and white. He's with the COVID stuff.
Homebred.
And we bred him, yep. We have both the parents. Pretty much we do, when we breed, it's usually when we're ready to keep another puppy. So that's the general idea of when we do our breeding.
Quite a handsome guy.
He's a good boy. He's young and obnoxious, but all of a sudden he's just over 2, and he's turned from an obnoxious hellion puppy into a pretty well adjusted, becoming an adult. He wants to move around a little bit, but he's becoming an adult. With this whole thing with the COVID, he's had a sheltered life, as we all have, so he hasn't been out much. He just went to a specialty show in Confirmation. We show him in Confirmation. He did a specialty show in December.
Where was that?
That was at the Eastern States Exposition.
In Springfield?
Yes, and that was the Eastern Dog Show, but it was one of our Pilgrim specialties that we had there. We also, on the same day, had a Basset Hound Club of America regional specialty. So he was in 2 shows on that day. He did well for really, that's the first time he's been in a show. He got 2nd in his class in the first show and 3rd in his class on the 2nd show. So that's pretty good for a newcomer.
Showing.
That's pretty good for a newcomer. Also, we do a lot of work in the field. We do field trials and hunt tests, and he is in training for that, and he's coming along with that too. But as I say, with the COVID stuff, everything's been kind of really hard to get out and do.
Talk about the field trials.
Well, field trialing, it's a sport that's, in the hound world, it's the scent hounds that do the field trialing. And for the Basset hounds, what they primarily are looking for is rabbit. They do cottontail. It could be jackrabbit out west. It depends on where you're at. It's the natural rabbit game in that area is what you're looking for.
Now, as a scent hound,
what they do at a field trial is,
these are scent hounds.
And they are a scent hound. They also, other scent hounds would be the dachshunds, the beagles, obviously, is probably the biggest known one. They are the biggest field trial group for rabbit hunting. For him, for the field trials, they take them out. We generally run embrace trials, which is they compete in pairs. And they go through all the dogs that are entered in pairs. We'll take them out into the brush. We'll chase out a rabbit. There'll be a gallery of people that'll chase a rabbit out so that you know where a rabbit was. The 2 dogs that are competing will now come over to that line, and the 2 judges will come into the line to watch. They put the dogs on the line, and then the object of it is to see which dog does the best job of carrying the scent of where the rabbit has gone. Obviously, they're not meant to actually catch the rabbit. They're a hunting dog, but in the real hunting world, it's your job to shoot the rabbit, not their job to catch it. As with coursing dogs, their job is actually catch the rabbit, and they're supposed to give the dog back to you. But for the scent hounds, like the Beagles and Bassets and Dachshunds, their job is just to let you know where it is, push it out where you could get a shot at it. And that's what their basic job was that they were developed to do. They're an old breed. They're probably...
It's of French origin.
Yep, and French and northern Italy, oddly enough.
Really?
So it's southern France, northern Italy. They were developed as an alternative for the aristocracy had horses, so they could ride the horses and go hunt deer and stuff like that. The poor people had to walk, so they wanted an animal that would scent slowly and quietly, and that a sturdy foot, that you could follow this dog on foot when he's tracking, and that's the whole idea of it. So the same thing with the field trials. You follow the dogs on foot. They do the judging of each pair of dogs. Once they've judged the whole course of the dogs that are entered, they'll pick out who they thought did the best job and call them back for a second look. They call that the second series. And then they basically start that all over again. They'll wheedle it down from whatever the original entry is. Currently, for dogs, you might see 10 or 12 dogs entered at a field trial. The next course, they would probably bring back 6 of those dogs, maybe 5, depending on how well they did or not well, whichever they did. Then from there, they just keep running them a competition against each other, changing the order again for a 3rd series, a 4th series, till they come out with an order where every dog the dog that is on top is undefeated, and every dog as they go along has their place as to who they manage to stay defeated by or have beat by.
So a couple of your Bassets they have earned the title of what, a Grand
Field champion.
Grand Field champion.
Yes, so you need 60 points to become a champion. You get
field
a point,
champion.
a field champion. If you win the event, you're the winner, you get a point for every dog that you defeated. And after that, the points are a lot harder to get because 2nd place gets half the points, 3rd place gets a quarter of the points, 4th place, an eighth of a point. So you have to, it takes a lot to get that 60 points. Once you get that 60 points, you enter into another class of dog they call the Grand Champion class, and those are only champions in that. In the regular classes, you have the males only compete against males, and the females only compete against the other females. But when you get into the champions, it's all of them. Dogs and bitches both compete in that.
Where have your travels taken you with?
Well, I've been all over the country with these dogs. We travel to, our national shows are held throughout the country. Probably the furthest we've been, when we first started, we flew out to Sacramento, California with 4 dogs to show that. At this time, I think that'd be a little pricey to try to fly dogs out. We've driven out to Portland, Oregon for our nationals out there, and that was an interesting trip.
Were these field
That was
shows
our national show. It's the conformation show, it's the field trials, their hunt tests, their agility, their obedience, everything you can do with a dog is at that show. So
talk about some of the other things that people can do with their Bassets.
Oh, they're capable to do anything, really. We show in conformation. We've also
done well.
And done well. We've had five champions in conformation. We have one that just became a grand champion. He's our first grand champion that we've had.
In conformation.
In conformation. Now, also in the field, I have had 2 hounds that are grand champions there, which is, we actually had the first grand champion in New England in 35 years was our dog. We have it, well, he may be the first grand champion in New England, I think, because I don't know if the title existed when, for the longest time, when Pilgrim was created, was 1952. They carried the sport till about 1982, I think. They had to let it go because there wasn't enough interest anymore. 30 years later comes along myself and Linda, and we managed to get that started again by going to the field trials, which are mostly in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. These are all big areas for beaglers. There's a lot of beagle people out that way. That's also where the Bassets that were still continuing to field trial were. So we made the travel. We did our time. We got champions, and we did a lot of talking up of the sport. We basically now have at the Pilgrim Club one of the most active groups of field trialers in the country. I'm very happy to say that we are one of the big supports of the country when it comes to that. So I think I can pat myself on the back to say that we managed to pull the field trialing out of the fire.
You know, many years ago, I had the honor of judging the Pilgrim match. I did the Pilgrim match that year.
Yep.
And I guess we had, I think 30 or 35 Bassets. And I had fun. What a great day it was.
Yeah, they're a
It's
fun.
a very active club.
Yes, they are. They're a pretty active club. We have people entered in every sport. With all the new sports that are coming in, we've got hounds that are doing the scent title, the scent work. We have hounds doing agility. We've had that for a long time. There aren't a lot, but it's capable of doing it. We have people doing rally. Our dogs have rally titles. We have obedience titles. The dogs are capable of doing everything. It's a matter of your patience.
Any therapy titles?
Yeah, actually, we have had 2 dogs that are therapy dogs. We have one of our therapy dogs. Right now, he's no longer certified since COVID has happened. We basically, because of that, we stopped going, and we're kind of in hiatus, and his titles have slipped away because it's an annual thing. You got to recertify every year, and not being able to go into the facilities was a problem.
But what did you do? How do you take a bath? What did you do? That's fascinating.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much what you're seeing here is what they do for therapy dogs, except they get a lot of hugs. So
do you take them to nursing homes?
We've done nursing homes where the dogs, we get them closer and the people are able to pet them, and it's surprising how much that brings memories out in people. People that don't deal anymore with don't want to do anything, don't want anything to do with the world, but you bring a dog like this in and all of a sudden you see their face light up. It's like it brings back something in their memories that they pet that dog, they love that dog, and they can't wait to see that dog again. Linda had been working, she's the one that did the visits. She had been working with a place in New Bedford where they had a man that was so reclusive, he'd stay in his room, he didn't want to do anything. He was a double amputee, so he was just always very miserable, always very mean to people. Linda got him to come out of his shell and he would come down to the community rooms if the dog said that, that the dog's name was Governor. If Governor's going down to watch them sing down there today, why don't you come? Okay, I'll come. And that was amazing. His family was so happy that it took him out of his shell. And I think that's what bothered Linda the most about stopping during this, is because you get attached to the people you're going to visit. And she had a lot of regulars that she would visit, and that makes it tough that she wasn't able to go into these places.
Well, hopefully these things will get back to normal.
We hope so.
In a few months.
We hope so. It's hopeful for all of us. The world is changing, and hopefully we'll get through it just fine. The dogs don't care.
The governor
they don't
was quite,
understand.
The governor was quite. I've met the governor many times.
Yep.
He was quite a popular character.
Yep. Everybody knows him. He's actually our most titled dog. I think he has 13 titles on his name. He's got a lot of rally. We also compete. Well, other than the American Kennel Club, we also compete in the United Kennel Club.
Talk about that. That's great.
The United Kennel Club. It's like two different worlds as far as the two organizations. The AKC seem to, you dress up, it's more of like an event where the airs are on. But a UKC
it's very
show,
formal.
it is very formal. A UKC event is more the working man's club, where
very relaxed.
Very relaxed. You come in your jeans. It's all about the dog there. They don't even look at you. You're nothing to the judges. It's the dog they're looking at there, and it's.
So you've earned some
put a lot on
UKC titles.
We've got many UKC titles also. We've got champions. I don't even know how many champions we have there. We have probably the same dogs, really, I guess. So 5, 6, maybe 7. The way they do their point schedule is a little different. So I think that their events are smaller. They're not as heavily attended as an AKC event. So they were able to get the idea of doing 4 shows in a weekend by probably 2 clubs. A club could have 2 shows in a day. So you could have 2 shows a day, and in a weekend, you could be there, with the possibility that you could get a title on your dog in one weekend if you came out the winner for all 4 of those shows. So, needless to say, it's a savings on money traveling to one place one time. With the AKC shows, they're much larger. They don't have that option. Although some of the shows are getting to be, unfortunately, so small that they're able to do 2 shows, which is.
And that's starting up again.
I think that the AKC has seen what the UKC was doing for filling that time and schedule, and kind of took the idea that fills the gap of making it worthwhile. It's not inexpensive to rent one of these big buildings for a day. So you would like to make the most use out of that you can get to make it worth the people's while to come. So what else can we talk about is another thing.
I wanted to ask you about your Cardigan Welsh Corgis.
Our Cardigan Welsh Corgis.
Another breed that you've been heavily interested in.
Yes, we've had several champions there. Also, we show conformation.
How did you get interested in the Cardigan?
Well, actually, as we're getting older, the Bassets are a pretty large breed. They show on a ramp at this point, but just dealing with their grooming, you have to pick them up. They're a heavy dog. They can run. He's 52 pounds. He might not look like it, but he's a pretty dense dog. A larger dog could be 65. We've known of dogs up to 75, 80 pounds, which can be a large dog.
That's a big dog.
That's a big dog to put up on a grooming table to take care of. So Linda was, as we're moving on, she felt like her back wasn't going to hold up to much longer for doing them. So we started looking around at smaller breeds. So we kind of looked at many breeds, and we ended up choosing the Cardigan Welsh Corgi. And oddly enough, we looked at all the small breeds, and no matter the many breeds that we looked at, they were always short and long, and I don't know why that is. I guess that's just our preference. So it ends up that a Cardigan Welsh Corgi actually has pretty much the same structure as a Basset Hound, except they're a little bit smaller. They're lighter. I think they actually have a height, a weight that they're supposed to weigh,
Yeah.
or no more than, or they should be disqualified, and that's only 38 pounds. So they can be they're a smaller dog, a little easier to lift up, very active, very good watchdog. They do.
Highly intelligent.
Highly intelligent. They're a herding dog, so they are very much always looking to gather things up. And one of the most frustrating things in the world for a Cardigan Welsh Corgi is trying to get all the Basset Hound puppies in one place, because Basset Hounds do not cooperate in that manner.
So you've been very successful with the Cardigans as well.
Yeah, yes, we've had good success in the ring with those. We actually toyed with the idea of training. They do herding tests where they can herd ducks. They can herd sheep, they can herd cattle. And in a farm situation,
Yeah.
they herd all of that. The events are a lot far in between out here. In the Midwest, where there's more farms, obviously there'd be more events like that. Here it's a little bit hard to come by one, and the training for one is even harder unless you have a farm. You need the animals, you need the room. It's something that's tough to come by. For the Bassets, trained on they can hunt anything, but their main quarry is supposed to be rabbits. That's what they're bred to breed. But as a hunting dog, in reality, all small game is fair game if you were actually out hunting and looking for your next meal. The Bassets, we generally do our events at Beagle grounds. There are no Basset Hound grounds in the country anywhere. There was one in Ohio at one point.
There still are a lot of Beagle Clubs that were around the area.
There are plenty of Beagle Clubs, but they're also on the struggle, because the art of field trialing, just like the art of hunting, is a dying sport. There's not getting less and less people do it all the time, so the clubs are struggling to keep membership and keep afloat. Eventually, they get taken down by taxes. They're paying the taxes on the land and trying to keep up with the upkeep of such a land. They're usually fenced properties. They usually have outbuildings. They take, they're a very well manicured kind of a place, so they take a lot of work for the tractors and work parties. Come back over here. There you go. The work parties that have to maintain the pathways. It's a series of grids of paths, so there's a lot of maintenance to that. Keeping up with making sure you have rabbits on the grounds, that you've got to keep them fed. They should eat the food that's there, but there's not always enough there. So they have to feed them, medicate them. One of their biggest problems, I suppose, is natural predators, which, despite being fenced in, they still have hawks, owls,
Coyotes,
which you hope that the fences will keep them out. But every now and then, probably more likely, foxes get in, because they're able to get under the fence in a small hole. A bigger hole, a coyote would have to take a bigger hole to get through, but a hungry coyote would be surprised. You'd be surprised what they will do. Another thing that I'm also been a longtime member of the Basset Hound Club of America. For that, I've been on a committee for another event, which is the hunt test, which, unlike the field trial, is a head-to-head competition.
What is a hunt test?
The hunt test is an event where you're basically just showing this dog's ability to do the hunt, the same thing as you would be doing with the field trial, except it's just this dog. There's no competition. You have to pass it like obedience. You'd have to get 3 passes to get a title. And you're judged by 2 judges at that. For that, it's more of an actual hunting situation, because you would bring the dog out. When the judges are ready to start, you release the hound, and they're off lead. go find a rabbit. It's the dog's job to, just like in real hunting, it's his job to go look for a rabbit, produce a rabbit. You actually fire a gun with blanks. It's not capable of, it's a starter's pistol for racing. You fire a gun to show that the dog is not gun shy. It's a pretty good sport. We do different titles that they can get because they can do solo, they can do in pairs or to be brace, and they also do small pack where there are 4 hounds. And they all have to be hunting when they fire the gun. If nobody passes, if there's no gun, nobody passes. To fire the gun, they all have to be on the line and working, following the rabbit that they may have produced. And it's a pretty intense sport. It's a lot of fun. The biggest thing about the field trial events is they love it. And there's nothing that gives the owners more enjoyment than seeing their dog enjoying themselves and doing the job that they were bred to do. I have to say that the hunting events are my favorite event of all the things that we've done with our dogs, because watching them, they can't wait for the next time they go. Sometimes it's hard to stop them from, you go out, you chase a rabbit, they're looking for the next one. They just want to keep on going. It's part of their instinct.
Bassets are also very good in obedience.
Yes, well, they can be good. They're a very challenging breed when it comes to obedience, but they're quite capable of it.
How are they challenging?
Well, the Basset Hound is like a lot of the hounds themselves. They're a very intelligent breed, and their breeding or their instinct, they're out looking for that rabbit. They don't really need you. They're going to look for the rabbit anyway, so they're kind of very independent. So the whole idea of being told what to do is kind of foreign to them. They'll do what they're told, but they would like to know, well, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? They're very treat-oriented when it comes to events like that, the obedience, the agility. But in these events, you can't use treats in the ring. So they have to kind of be weaned off of that. And that's where the trouble comes in, because there are times where if they know that they should get a treat after they've done something, you might just get a refusal out of them very easily. For instance, if you put them on a long down, which he's doing very good at right now, they may decide that, okay, when you walk away, you didn't give me a treat when we finished the sit, well, I'm just going to sit up. They can be very calculating about what they're doing, but they are very capable of doing it. As I said, we've had 4 dogs with obedience titles.
Very good.
And there are dogs in the country that it's a very hard accomplishment, but to come up with an Otch dog, which there have been Otch dogs, for a Basset Hound, that's a big kudos on that person. They spent a lot of time working with their dog, because it's a team as far as the obedience goes.
Well, it's been fun. I'm being told that we need to wrap up, and I have more questions. We're going to have you come back.
I can come back again, because
and talk about other things about Bassets.
There's never enough time, and I can go on and on about Bassets, and people probably walk away from me because...
No. It's been a pleasure to see you again. It was a pleasure to have John. John's having a good nap, but thank you very much, and we're going to have you back.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you very much, and welcome again to Fur, Fins, and Feathers. This was our 73rd episode, and we just had a very fun afternoon.